What's it really like to live in a border ghost town with no future? Hi everyone, I'm Susu. I've been living here alone, and I've watched this town slowly fade from bustling prosperity into quiet desolation. Few people know this border town once had its golden age. At its peak, it held a permanent population of nearly 500,000. Fueled by cross-border trade, the whole city thrived. Countless people flocked here to seek fortune and put down roots. Yet within just a few years, the population plummeted. Today, only 150,000 remain. Once the tide fully receded, every illusion of prosperity was shattered, laying bare the city's raw wounds. Abandoned, unfinished real estate projects and empty residential complexes lie everywhere. Countless incomplete buildings freeze the exact moment when the city fell from grace. Derelict structures like these can be found all across this modest little border town. This massive commercial center right in front of me was developed by the local wealthiest man back then. It is also the largest unfinished project in town. It was never officially opened after construction wrapped up. The interior has never been fitted out. All main gates are blocked, and hoardings and iron sheets seal off every entrance and exit.
It's totally the ridiculous.
After years of wind and sun, large swathes of glass are broken, walls are peeling, and debris litters the ground. Weeds surge wildly through cracks in the masonry. Grand plans have crumbled into ruins. Stagnant water pools everywhere inside the mall, and no interior finishing was ever done. There are no lights, no signs of people, only utter silence.
Nobody here.
Standing here, it feels like stepping into a sci-fi apocalypse.
I feel a little scared walking here.
The upper levels above the mall were originally planned for high-rise luxury apartments. Long abandoned, rusted steel bars lie exposed. All surrounding stairwells have been sealed off. There is only one narrow gap here, yet I'm too frightened to go inside. Everyone once expected this place to become the core commercial district of the new town. But when the capital chain broke, development came to an abrupt halt. Now nothing remains but a silent, empty shell. And this is far from the only mall left abandoned and decaying. This building in the city center has stood abandoned for a full 20 years. Entangled in prolonged debt disputes, the project ground to a complete halt and has sat idle ever since. Long neglected, the structure has deteriorated into a dangerous, condemned building. Dense barbed wire fences surround the building, and stark warning notices marking it as unsafe cover the walls, constantly reminding passers-by to stay away. It has been up for auction for years, yet no buyer has ever stepped forward. This towering grand structure sits in the city's prime central area, yet it remains sealed off and untouched all year round. It has become the most glaring isolated island downtown. Not far away sits another complex of buildings stalled for more than a decade. Construction came to an early stop, and rusted tower cranes stand alone on the desolate construction site. Mired in heavy debt, the developer abandoned the project long ago. All construction workers have left. Wild weeds spread across the entire worksite, and these unfinished buildings still wait for the day funding finally arrives. Right beside it lies another abandoned commercial zone, which speaks volumes about this small town's ultimate helplessness. It suffered no debt disputes and was never stalled due to funding shortages. The sole reason for its decline is simple: everyone left. Sustained population outflow and dwindling business drove the entire commercial district into widespread vacancy and decline. Only a handful of shops remain open today. All elevators in the mall have long been shut down. Tiles and ceiling panels have fallen away in many places. This once bustling shopping district has completely lost its former liveliness. I plan to head up to the rooftop to take a look, only to find every access point locked. The rooftop is completely overgrown with weeds. The same situation persists 1 kilometer away. This commercial district is now also plagued by widespread abandonment. Buildings planned a decade ago still remain unfinished to this day. Countless businesses here have folded. Storefronts sit empty one after another. Dilapidated tables and chairs stand as lingering regrets frozen in time. The cold brought by population loss seeps into every corner of the streets. The local jadeite industry has also taken a hard hit. Jadeite from here was once shipped nationwide. However, with the economic downturn, many young people are no longer fond of jadeite, and sales keep dropping year by year. There are barely any customers in the mall, and most shop owners just kill time scrolling on their phones. This enormous jadeite market only has vendors on the ground floor. The upper floors are completely deserted, which is truly poignant. The decline in commerce has also led to widespread vacancy in residential buildings. This housing complex was finished a few years ago. It sits in a prime spot next to the Central Park with scenic park views and a pleasant living environment. Housing prices stand at roughly 4,000 yuan per square meter. Still, barely anyone chooses to purchase property here. The main reasons are the sharp population drop and a cooling real estate market. People are no longer nearly as enthusiastic about property investment as they once were.
It's so quiet. No one lives here.
Most of the units remain unsold. I stepped into one unfinished bare apartment randomly. Most properties here are 3-bedroom layouts, which aren't really suitable for someone single like me. The apartment enjoys good cross ventilation from north to south and boasts an open view. You can overlook the park from upstairs. For someone with a modest income like me, owning a home of my own would be a blessing. Unfortunately, now that I am 30, I still cannot afford one. I am overwhelmed by a strong sense of failure in life. Locals often say this place is turning into a border ghost town. Looking back, all these newly erected residential blocks, shopping districts, and housing estates sprang up during the town's golden age. Back then, developers were convinced border trade would thrive indefinitely. They rushed to acquire land and poured massive funds into construction. One residential and commercial project after another rose from the ground. Everyone believed a bustling new city would emerge here. Yet an abrupt shift in times arrived unexpectedly. Turbulence along the border paired with an economic downturn triggered a mass exodus of migrant merchants. The town suffered a precipitous population outflow. The property market cooled rapidly, and hidden debt troubles erupted all at once. Without population support and economic vitality, none of the new developments could attract buyers. Investors pulled out their capital one after another. Once bustling construction sites were frozen in time overnight. The prosperous new city envisioned in the blueprints never got its busy streets. All that remains are stretches of abandoned buildings and an empty town. Folks like me on the lower rungs of society have also taken hits to our incomes, so nobody dares to spend a penny more than necessary. The sweltering heat has killed my appetite entirely. For dinner tonight, I'll just grab a portion of ice jelly from the street stall for roughly 14 cents. I asked for some milk tea and peanuts as toppings. The vendor told me she usually sets up her stall near the school gates and assured me all her ingredients are fresh, clean, and safe. It tastes wonderfully icy, instantly cooling my whole body and lifting my spirits. The aroma of milk tea paired with the silky texture of the ice jelly makes for a delicious treat. Alright, that wraps up today's video. If I get the chance, I'll show you the declining border trade here next time. Goodbye.